And so let's get on. I wanted to talk first of all about some of this dumb stuff in the news, and God knows we could fucking do some cheering up with that, because really, this is more the filler part of it. This is where they try and find stories to fill in. And the story I'm going to talk about, because there's a thing on the internet you may be aware of. It's called Godwin's Law, which is where, if you're having an argument and someone makes a comparison immediately to the Nazis or Hitler, then they immediately, the sort of argument is considered null and void at that point. Well, and I'll leave links to all these stuff below. This story wasn't linked, but there is a photo of the article. This is the headline, and it's in the Daily Mail. And but amazingly, it's not about paedophiles or immigrants or undermining the NHS in any way whatsoever. But this is Baz the Cat, right? Baz the Cat. I think that's his full name. Blinded, right, for looking like Hitler. And there's this picture of this poor, sorry-looking sod of a cat. This one-eyed cat that's clearly. I mean, I'm going to take this story as read that this cat was actually blinded. The story says that it was suspected the cat was either run over or someone kicked it in the head. Now, I don't think this is funny, right? I don't think blinding cats is funny. Let's make that clear, right? But the fact is, you read into the story, a cat blinded in a brutal attack is believed. Now, that's a word in journalism you've got to beware. If you ever see the word believed, or alleged, or thought to, then that immediately should ring red alarms. A cat blinded in an attack is believed to have been targeted by thugs, as opposed to what else, right? Because he looks like Hitler. Now, it's a 7-year-old mug, and this cat's got it's basically a white cat. It's got a little bit of fur under its a little bit of black patch under its nose, and that's it, right? This is what the owner said. The owner, Miss Sparrow, 26, from Tredworth, Gloucestershire. I couldn't believe the state of him. His eye was swollen. It was like a marble, right? They said he was unlikely to have been hit. They said he was unlikely to have been hit by a car, and that he was probably kicked. Okay, so I got that bit wrong. So he was probably kicked. It's shocking someone to do something like that. Now, this is all fine. This is what she then says. A lot of people say he looks like Hitler, but he's so timid and gentle. As if... What is that supposed to mean? Are we supposed to sit there and think, well, that cat looks like Hitler, we better get... As if there's going to be a trail of mice walking behind this thing in striped pyjamas, being led into a hutch. People can't believe it when I show them pictures. He's also bigger than my nan's dog. Well, I don't know how big your nan's dog is. I don't know why anyone would do this to an animal, no matter how... Look, love, darling, please, I'm joking. No one is going to attack a cat for looking like Hitler. Right? No, there's no nutter. Yeah. Who is going to attack... No, I mean... The Tea Party don't go to the zoo and throw things at the monkeys because they think he looks like Obama. This is not... And because this is the Daily Mail, you just sense there's this underlying subtext to this story, where they're just doing it because, it's like, look, this is what the left wing are like. This is what they do. This was a great story here in the Metro, which is one of the 4 million free newspapers you can get in London. I'll just read this to you. This is such an inspirational story. It's man turns up safe. That's the story. A missing North Yorkshire man has been found safe and well, police have said. Lewis Treble, 20, went missing after leaving his home in Grove Park, Barby, around 8 a.m. on Thursday, but returned home that night. That's the story. Right? The headline should be here, nothing happened. Right? Man, a 20-year-old went out for the day. How fucking stupid... Why is this even news? Why was this not front page, is what you want to know. I want to know about 20... when I was 17, 18, I used to go out for weeks on end. My mother never gave a shit about that. Maybe that says more about my mother, I don't know. But no, she was always like, well, if something bad happens to you, I'll hear about it on the news. So you think, fair enough, what kind of parent phones the police because their 20-year-old son has gone out for the day? So that was today's That was the. Here's some of the. Now this is a bit I was reading. I was reading in the Sun newspaper because there was a bit. Talking of UKIP, there was a funny story in the Sun where the Sun newspaper were accusing UKIP of racism. That's not the funniest accusation of racism UKIP have had in the last 2 weeks, but when you go through, there's a section at the back of the Sun newspaper where they have these. It's these. What do you? This is what do you think? Tell us what you think. Letters at the Sun. This is some of the stuff. And this is some of the stuff that people feel the need to send in to this. This is a great one. I have an autograph of a famous person, and it is Rolf Harris. Okay, you're padding that sentence out for the start. Okay, why don't you just say Rolf Harris? As we're going to assume, what, the famous Rolf Harris or any other Rolf Harris? Time will tell whether it goes in the bin or stays in my drawer. Yes, so this guy is sat there with an autograph picture of Rolf Harris, and he's sat there by the bin, right, waiting to hear whether or not he's guilty of fucking kids, right? And he's just going to throw it into the fucking bin if he's guilty. I think people will still buy that, you know. It's like Chris Benoit wrestling merchandise. You know, he murdered his family and his child, but you know his stuff went up. All of his stuff went up in price when they stopped selling it all, and even after he killed himself, so he couldn't have really been found guilty. But you know, this is the letter that won the Sun's newspaper. I am saddened, by the way, we have given in to the obvious foreign takeover of Britain. Now, what does that sound like to you? This is a paper that you know is accusing UKIP of racism and bigotry, and this is the £50 letter. Throughout most aspects of the British business, property, ship, sport and city life, we have lost the old bulldog attitude. What the fuck is this is it. The bulldog attitude we had in the Second World War days. Yeah, let's bring back the Second World War. Let's have a global conflict that plunges this country into an economic fucking abyss, which is the reason to the, you know, he's 77, the old fuck who wrote this, so I don't want to have too much of a go at Barry Barclay, right? Probably was that fucking cat, actually, because Baz is short for Barry, so, and that cat looked like Hitler, so you know he's going to have right-wing tendencies, but, you know, I feel that when my generation goes, Britain as we used to know it will die with it. Yes, the Britain you used to know will die with it. And do you know what? When you were a kid, Barry, there were fucking old fucks like you saying about how Britain wasn't the same. The First World War, the sequels are never as good as the fucking originals, are they? You know, that is just, you know, UKIP, BNP style right-wing, anti-immigration, anti-foreigner, racism, you know, rhetoric. It's the same shit. Who cares what some 77-year-old thinks? He's got the fuck, you know, it's just... This is another favourite one of mine, though. I noticed there is not much fuss that the Antarctic ice levels are at their highest since 1979. Oh, look, it's one of these... Where are these fuckers? You know, these people who say, oh, look, it's hot today. What about global warming? Yeah, it's hot today where you are. So no, and you know, where are these bastards during the winter when it's freezing cold? Jesus Christ, I had chilblains for a month when I was living in Scotland. I didn't hear one person go... You don't hear anyone going, see, global war, you know, climate change, Israel, you know... And, sorry, I got that the wrong way around, didn't I? But it's like... No, it's true, isn't it? It's like when it's roasting sodding hot, these people, you never hear these people going, oh, global warming, where is it? You know, what a hoo-ha over global warming and how we must all pay green taxes. Yeah, what a fucking surprise, shame it is. I hope your grandkids enjoy drowning. Right, now oh, God. Now, I think I think that'll do. This was a funny one. Sorry, this was a funny one. Some guy here talking about this, having read about the scum evicted from Birmingham estate. I don't know who these people are. It's like, I pity the next unfortunate person who ends up with their neighbours. They should be refused housing and forced to live in a field. There you go. This guy's encouraging gypsies. This is all it is. Isn't that the problem? Like, these people... He's moaning that these people... So he's going to moan about homeless people. Like, it's like the immigrant thing of, like, they come over here, they get benefits. And it's like, oh, they're stealing our benefits. So they get a job, so they don't need benefits. Oh, they're stealing our jobs. Well, make your fucking mind up, right? UKIP. Okay, this was now. Let's get onto the UKIP stuff because it's been an up and down thing for UKIP, and there's a lot of hoo-ha and a lot of people. A lot of UKIPers are walking around smug as hell, and a lot of people are walking around scared because UKIP did well in the EU elections. Let's just go for it. But I'm going to start with the funny stuff on UKIP because this was just going back 2 weeks. This was funny during the local elections. This is a story in the Metro again. A guy on Twitter, a UKIP supporter, a UKIP member, stumped why party is the bottom of the ballot paper. And he posted on Twitter that he felt this was a conspiracy as to why his party was at the bottom. This just shows the level of credit you can give a UKIP supporter, that they're not too sure whether they're going to make it down to the bottom. Will they fall asleep having read this much information? And they get down. The reason it's at the bottom, Gary Robinson, is because, you dumb motherfucker, the ballot is in alphabetical order. Unless they want to change their name to the friggin' Aardvark Party, then that's just. And you post this stuff on Twitter, and of course he just gets it's just ridiculous anyway. I mean, why does it matter where they go? So if we put them I bet if they put him at the top, he wouldn't have complained, because he'd be like, yeah, right at the top there, fucking people. The funniest accusation of racism towards UKIP, of course, came from Nick Griffin. Yes, Nick Griffin claiming that UKIP are racist because they're okay with white European immigrants. No, sorry. He said that they're okay with Pakistanis and Indians coming over. They just discriminate against Polish people and Romanians and Bulgarians. And that's it. That's his argument. They're more so it's not that they're less racist. It's that they're more racist. Is the argument? He looks at that and sees it as a more racist policy because it discriminates against white people. I mean, and this is the guy who, whenever you call him racist, he's like, oh, it's the left wing. This is what I fucking hate about people like this. They sit there and go, oh, everyone just calls anyone racist these days. You can't really. It's like Pat Condell and Gert Wilders and all these people. They go, all the left can do is call people racist. And the second they get the chance to use it themselves, they're right on it. They're on that like shit on Velcro, right? It wasn't great as well when the Professor Alan Sked, for those who don't know him, Professor Alan Sked, Dr. Sked, he was the founder of UKIP, co-founder, founded it in 1993. This is something, he came out this week and said, this is his opinion on UKIP now. It has become corrupt, racist and obsessed with immigration and Islam. It hardly talks about the EU, but its MEPs do travel to Brussels to get on the gravy train. I despise it now. That's like Jesus coming back and telling the Catholics, you're all twats. That can't be on. Of course, Nigel Farage claims that this is all sour grapes, but that's just Nigel Farage. He'll claim anything. He'll make any sort of standard response he can to anyone. But this is the guy who founded UKIP, because I mean, it's just ridiculous that why if this party is everything he wanted it to be, why would he not be proud of it? And he's right about the Emmy, but getting on the gravy train of Brussels. If you haven't ever watched it, I should recommend you do all watch The New Statesman, which was a sitcom starring Rick Mayall, particularly the fourth series of it, where he basically becomes an EU, and he's just a UKIP politician through and through. It's like, as my mum said when she first saw Nigel Farage, she says he looks like a right spiv, doesn't he? And my mum knows her onions, so I'm not going to buy that one. And then another guy in UKIP got done for John Lyndon Sullivan was in trouble. He posted this on Facebook. This was in February, but it got dug up. I rather often this is John Lyndon of UKIP, candidate for Gloucester. I rather often wonder if we shot one PUFTA GBLT whatevers, okay, whether the next 99 would decide on balance that they weren't after all. Now, this is the difference between... Now, John, there's a difference between changing your sexuality and lying because you don't want to be shot. Also, this does tend to sort of lead to the idea that you think there's only 100 gay people in the world, but... He goes, we might then conclude that it's not a matter of genetics, but rather more a matter of education. Yes, because if someone shot me and said, are you Caucasian? I said, no, I'm Pakistani. And then he shot me, and then he said, I won't shoot you then, right? Does that mean that my skin colour is no longer a genetic? Right? But of course, it's just one or two nutters, isn't it, Nigel? That's the problem. It's just one or two nutters, right? Then Nigel Farage went on the James O'Brien LBC radio show. If you haven't heard that interview, I recommend you do. It is fantastic. It's 20 minutes of Farage getting... And of course, again, it's all just... Oh, it's all propaganda and blah, blah, blah. And Nigel Farage uses the same fucking excuse every single time. It's always like, well, there's lots of this. It's just people are focusing on this. But well, why don't you bring it up then? Why don't you list all of the Liberal Democrats and all of the Labour Party members and all of the Tory Party? Why don't you list all of these people, you fucking idiot, who are doing all who are saying all these things? And he's like, a few people, one or two people. It's not one or two, Nigel. It's one every... Okay, we could have one of those things they put on American trailer parks where it says, number of days passed since tornado. I want number of days that have passed since someone in UKIP said something stupid. It's been at 0 for a long time. I recommend you... I'll bring that back up later, but I recommend you put that down there. Go listen to that, right? And then UKIP small business spokesman, Amjad Bashir, who I did bring up in one of my UKIP videos on YouTube, because he was the one who cunningly edited his website to remove the bit about maternity leave and stuff like that from his website after it was revealed that that's one of the things they would get rid of. UKIP small business spokesman accused of hypocrisy after seven illegal immigrants were arrested at his restaurant. So when he said, when UKIP say that, you know, this country, no more immigrants, this country's full, he's actually talking about his kitchen, apparently, where he's got all these Albanians working there. I don't know, but of course they go, oh, it's just one or two people. No, this is your small business spoken, hiring 7. How do you act? And he's like, Farage dusted this off as some sort of... It's like, well, what did you expect, Nigel? For people not to find this out. But more importantly, how can you hire 7 illegal immigrants and not fucking know about it? Right? Now, we've all heard about the danger of the Muslimic rape gangs, or the Muslimic ray guns. This is the one thing they love. There's a group of Muslims waiting to rape you on the street corner. Well, the UKIP candidate for Kent, Janice Atkinson, oh God, this woman drives me fucking mad. She's highlighted problems in Kent with Eastern European gangs, right? Roma gypsies in brackets, right? Or apparently there are sex gangs have turned parts of Kent into... I've travelled all up and down the frigging country, and I know people of them all over, and not one of them, whenever you bring this up, they don't know what the fuck these people are talking about. And why would you have a sex gang in a no-go area? If there's an area no one's going, why would you set up a sex gang there? And you don't set a sex gang up. You say, right, we're going to have this division, we're going to have this area of sex. No, this is just the Muslims, right? And this is just the same thing we had this with the Africans and Asians and it used to be, and the Pakistanis and Indians. And it's just the same shit over again. It's just now they're doing it with Romanians and Bulgarians, who are traditionally thought of to be, who are traditionally going to be white, and therefore they can go, it's not racist. It's the same shit, okay? And it turns out the problem is that UKIP have been urged to apologise after their comments about Romanians and Bulgarians, because the flood that we are supposed to experience of Romanians and Bulgarians has not happened. And the amount of Romanians had actually fallen by 4,000. They predicted it would rise by 50,000. It's actually gone down dramatically, because who would have thunk it that the Tory party would have been tightened up on immigration? Right? Who would have seen that coming? But apparently, all of your jobs are supposed to be. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've noticed. I've said this before, but Nigel Farage complained about being on a train, listening to people in foreign languages talk. Now, first of all, I've been on trains to London. Like I said, I travel all over the place. I always travel on train. I have never once been on a fucking train where everyone's speaking in foreign. If anyone else has, I just don't believe this stuff happens. I've never heard anyone other than a fucking It's like, it might be a one-off, maybe, but it's like he acts as if this makes him uncomfortable. How do you think okay, how do you think I feel, Nigel, when I get on a train and it's filled with UKIP supporters all talking shit? Right, do you think I fucking enjoy that? No, I don't sit there. Do you know why? Because it's none of my fucking business what you're talking about. Right? You sit there and talk about what you bloody want in whatever language you want. Right? You're going to bang slang words then, right? Slang expressions that you don't get because you ain't down with the kids, Daddy-o. Oh God, what else happened? Then voters. Oh yes, this was. Oh God, this was a UKIP candidate who runs a care home, whose name was Gordon Ferguson. He said that his rivals should be hanged for treason. I'm just going to leave that one there. He said pro-EU politicians, voters are traitors, and pro-EU politicians should be executed. Those are the words of UK. Again, it's just one or two people, just one or two. Of course, then we had the European elections, but before that we did have the local elections, and within hours of one of the candidates who won a seat in the UKIP, a UKIP councillor who won a seat in Redditch, Dave Small, his name is. They're always men, aren't they? Oh, apart from Janice, she's just bloody stupid people, right? Newly elected Redditch councillor Dave Small. He referred to gays as perverts. There they are, really, aren't they? And African immigrants as scroungers. African immigrants as scroungers. And he said that. Oh, what did he say? He also attacked Claire Balding and singer Elton John. Now, you don't attack Elton John, mate. You just don't go after Elton. Right? And he referred to our sworn enemies in the Muslim world. Right, that's it. Right, this was hours after he won his seat. So now he's being investigated. Is he going to be sacked, Nigel, or are you just going to pretend to sack him and then rehire him in Scotland like you did with fucking what's his name, Monkton? But they did do well in the EU elections, and everyone's freaking out. Look, have you seen the EU attendance records for UKIP? They're in the place where they can do the least fucking damage, quite frankly. And this is how the EU elections have always worked. Massively low turnout, and fringe parties always get seats. This is the way it's always been, right? Fringe parties get seats, and the EU election turnout is piss poor, right? But here's the thing, right? Before you start bragging about this, right? People go on about UKIP. They got a 161 seat increase, taking their total to 163, right? That's how fucking. Let's put that in comparison. The council seats in 2014. UKIP 163, right? Liberal Democrat 404, right? Tory 1,254. And Labour 1,857. They haven't even got. They've got less than 10% of the Labour electorate. They've got just over, they've got 12-13% of the Tory one. They've got a third of the fucking Liberal Democrats, right? And isn't it interesting that all these people banging on about UKIP, they're banging on about how, oh yeah, well look, we're totally taking over, when people had the chance to elect you fuckers in a local capacity where you would be able to affect them personally, what happened? They didn't vote for you, did they? They voted for Tory, Labour or Liberal Democrat or the Green Party, who seem to be getting no coverage from anyone, despite the fact that they're on a par with UKIP. Right? They don't get any bloody coverage. Maybe it's because they haven't got any nutters in their fucking crowd. Right? But the fact is, Nigel Farage's most biggest comment of the week was in the James O'Brien interview when he said, you know the difference. Right? When he was talking about Romanian immigrants and he was talking about whether or not Germans should move in next door versus Remains. He said, and James O'Brien said, what's the difference? He said, you know the difference. Well, I do know the difference, Farage. I do know the difference between that, Nigel. Because I know about, when they used to do this with the Jews in the 30s, the Americans did it with the Japanese in the 40s. Then this happened with the Asians and Indians and Pakistanis. Then this happened with African immigrants. It happened with Polish immigrants. And now you've just substituted the same thing. Take that line out, right, where you say, what's the difference between this and that moving next door? Oh, you know the difference. You've got the National Front, the BNP, you've got Britain First, you've got the British Union of Fascists, you've got every right-wing fucknut party that's ever existed. I know what the difference is, Nigel. There's absolutely none whatsoever. Right? And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will say good night, goodbye. This is Richard the Dick Coughlin on my left-wing propaganda machine. Take care. Other people nursing shattered bones don't want to fight no more. There's no profit in peace, so we've got to fight some more.